Hey guys, welcome back to Creativity and Inspiration. I'm Lisa. If you're new, welcome. I'm so happy you found us. If you keep coming back, thank you. You know how special you are. Today's video, newspaper. Working with newspaper in a journal. How the heck? Because when I work with newspaper, I don't know about you, but I end up with it all over my hands. It gets on my face. It gets all over my clothes. I mean, it gets everywhere. It's a mess. I run a vintage business, as a lot of you know, and I don't pack my vintage items in newspaper because the print, the ink rubs off on those vintage items. Dishes, fabric, wood. I mean, it's just awful. So why would I even have a video talking about how to use newsprint or newspaper in a journal? Because I have some tricks. Some of them you might have seen, maybe some of them you haven't. So let's jump. Okay guys, lots on my desk. Let me move it off and we're going to talk about, using newspaper. Again, to me, newspaper is just one of the messiest things. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. But I have some tips and tricks for using it if you want to. If you don't, I totally get that too. And we'll start with the easiest, and then we'll start with the hardest, the ones maybe you don't know, and then we'll go to ones that are maybe a little easier or maybe that you've heard of. Now, this first way has two ways you can do it. So let me just cut off some newspaper. And I actually use newsprint a lot for creating art sculptures, that sort of thing. I want to get this earth. But I'm going to cut the earth out, and I'm actually going to use it in a mixed media piece. But I want to get it out of the way so I don't mess it up. There we go. Okay, now I'm just going to get some words. Let's get some words. And we're going to just tear this. Okay, and we'll get the rest of that out of the way. Okay, I have small words and bigger words, and we're going to work with both of these. And one way you can use newsprint, you could actually cut where you have 2 full pages of newsprint. That's great. If you want to do that in your journal, that's great. But we're just going to be working with littler sections because they're easier to work with. Okay, the first thing we're going to use is clear gesso. And you can use this 2 ways to use newsprint in your journal. The first way is just to brush it on the newsprint, front and back if you want, and then use it. You could use it as a page, you could use it as a journaling card, whatever you want to, because the clear gesso is going to seal in the ink from coming off. But it's going to give it a texture. You're going to feel it. You're going to be able to hear it. You're going to know the clear gesso is there. So just clear gessoing your newsprint is one way to be able to use it in a journal. Now, a fun, really cool way to do this is to put some clear gesso down on a piece of paper. It can be coffee stained, it can be just plain paper, it could be a tag, it could be anything, okay? So what you do this on doesn't really matter. But all you do is, and that's what clear gesso looks like. It's milky, but it dries perfectly clear. You take a paintbrush and you put the clear gesso down on a piece of paper. Okay. And once you get it down, you take your newsprint and just whatever section you want to get on there, and you rub it on. You will want a bone folder or just something that you can really rub it on with. You can use your finger, you can use a pen if you want. Whatever you have, you can use. I can't find my bone folder. And you just rub it on really, really good, like that, into the clear gesso. And then you just gently pull it up. And the longer you rub, the harder you rub, you're transferring the print from the newspaper onto your paper. So you could do it using clear gesso. You can do the same method using white acrylic paint, white gesso. And let's do it again. This time, let me find my bone folder real quick. Okay, I found it. Let's do this again. Okay, so we'll put down more clear gesso. And like I said, it's milky in the container, but it dries totally clear. And it dries with a gritty feel to it. Okay, once you get it down, you just put your writing over it, whatever you want to get, and you just really rub it in. And you can rub as long or as little as you like. And you gently peel off, and there you go. See, it's darker because I pressed a little harder. So that's one way you can use newspaper in your journal. All right. Another way is a little paintbrush, some Mod Podge, and you can do this with a bigger word if you want to do a smaller word. And I'm kind of just going over the word. You can go over each letter if you want. And again, I'm going to put it down on the paper. I'm going to use my bone folder and just really get in there with it. And then I'm going to peel it off. It's still there. And there you go. So that's another way you can transfer newsprint from newspaper onto paper, and then you can coat it. But this has Mod Podge already on it, so it's not going to transfer again. Just like the clear gesso is not going to transfer again because it has clear gesso on the paper. This time we put the Mod Podge on the word, and we just rubbed it real hard there. So if you have Mod Podge but you don't have clear gesso, it works great too. Now the next way I'm going to show you is a little different. But I have a stamp here. You have to pretend this is words. That's all I could find in that. Because why do we want to use newspaper? More than likely, it's because of the texture of the paper. Newspaper is a different texture then magazines, then printer paper, then this kind of roll paper, then packaging. It's a thinner paper and it has a unique feel. So we're trying to get a sensory experience into our journals when we use newsprint or newspaper. But what you can do is you can buy newsprint at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, an art store, whichever place you want to. And it has the same texture as newspaper. And what you can do on it then is with your stamps and your ink, just create your own newspaper, and then you have a nice replica that's, you know, not going to transfer all over your hands, all over the other pages. So that's an option. And it has that same texture, that same feel, so you're getting that tactile imagery when you use the newsprint paper. Now, let's go to the last few ways you can transfer print. Let's go to the last few ways you can possibly use newspaper in a journal. And I'm sure most of you have seen this way, but it's transferring the word or words from the newspaper onto a piece of clear packing tape, or if you have Scotch tape, whatever you want to use. And for this, all you do is you get whatever words you want to transfer. And I'm going to trim it down so it's just words. Okay. And you get your tape. You put your tape down on your space. You're going to put your newsprint word side down. And then I rub it in. You don't really have to, but I do. Kind of go over it real lightly with my bone folder. And then I just come in with my little cute, trusty water spritzer bottle here. Get it nice and wet, let it sit a minute, and then just come in with your finger and start rubbing the newspaper away. And if you need to give it another spritz, go ahead. And you just peel away till you get as much of the newspaper off as you want off, or all of it off. There it goes. Okay, let me get, oops, there we go. Okay. Let me get the last little bits off here. Okay. Once you get all the newspaper off, there's your newsprint on your tape, and then you bring over whatever page, journaling card, wherever you want to use it, put it down, and just kind of rub it down. Kind of like to burnish it on. Though I will say I prefer the clear gesso method or white acrylic paint will do the same thing, or the Mod Podge method, because it's not as glossy. With the tape, you can definitely see a gloss versus the clear gesso at the top. Now, the words are darker on the tape versus this, but you can get this darker is the more you sit there and burnish it, you know, for the transfer. Okay. And the last thing you can do, if there is something, the last way you can use newspaper in a journal is just to cover it in packing tape if you want to. The whole thing, just do layers of tape or coat the whole thing in Mod Podge. That's a way to do it too. But these other ways, especially the clear gesso or the little bit of Mod Podge on just the word itself, are really cool ways. And the tape's not bad, you just get a glare with it. And the tools you need for this, again, if you're going to do, you need clear gesso, Mod Podge, clear tape, water, and definitely a bone folder. But don't forget, you could always do something totally different and get newsprint paper and stamp your own as well. So guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure and give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button with that little bell and click all. Also, leave me a comment down below. Did you know all of these ways to transfer newspaper to a journal? Are you going to try? Do you use newspaper in your journal now or not? And why not? Guys, I forgot to say thank you so much for being here and watching and supporting my channel. I will see you on Friday.